Tervetuloa jälleen Rapakanalin varrelle. Tänään vappu-spesiaalissa haastattelussa Jaron uusi amerikkalaismaalivahti Thomas Olsen.
Kyllä. Että mielenkiintoista kuulla, että millainen kaveri on kyseessä ja millainen tausta hänellä on ja miten hän on Jaroon päätynyt. Että odotan innolla tätä haastattelua.
Ja kuten sanottiin tuossa jo Haglundin haastattelua ennen, että tällä viikolla meillä ei ole sen suurempaa studiota. Antti ja Veppe viettää ansattuja vapaapäiviä ja me ollaan Ollin kanssa täällä kahdesta Rapakanalin varrella haistelemassa. Onkivat ovat kädessä, mitään kalaa ei ole tullut, mutta ensi viikolla on sitten vähän enemmän.
Kyllä, että tosiaan ennakkoa ykkösen kaudesta on luvassa ensi viikolla ja kuten myös Jimmy Varin haastattelu tullaan silloin näkemään. Ja jos on kysymyksiä Jimmylle, niin niitä kysymyksiä voi laittaa meille sitten meidän somekanavien kautta, eli Instagramin ja Facebookin kautta. Että.
Joo, tänne vedetään ensi viikolla tänne Rapakanalin varrelle sähkötkin, niin sitten me saadaan niihin kysymyksiin, saadaan joku päätelaite, mistä me voidaan niitä lukeakin sitten. Mutta sen verran on täällä vilposta, että siirrytään suoraan tuohon Olsenin haastatteluun ja Klara Vappen, Spara Vatten, niin kuin täällä Pohjanmaalla sanotaan. Meillä haastattelussa on Ollin kanssa tänään Jaron uusi maalivahti. Miten se lausutaan? Mä lausuisin mielelläni Thomas Olsen, mutta miten sä sen lausuisit?
Ilmeisesti Thomas Olsen. Eli yritetään sillä mennä sitten, että näin ainakin herra itse nimensä lausuu. Niin.
Joo. Ja hyvää vappua kaikille kuuntelijoille.
Kyllä, hyvää vappua minunkin puolestani. Yeah, so Thomas, welcome to our show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's awesome.
And welcome to Jaron and Jakobstad, Finland.
Yeah, it's all coming at me fast. I gotta get used to it, but I'm feeling good. I'm happy to be here for sure.
How is it? First, the hardest question is it football or soccer?
I mean, I actually say football, but obviously in the States they say soccer.
Soccer.
But no, I like football better. I like saying football better. So we'll go with football.
Yeah, so you arrived on Friday, so you have a little bit jet lag.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the first night in Helsinki was tough. I was trying to stay up till late, and I did, but then it's been okay. But I wake up at weird hours of the night, and I'm still getting used to it. So hopefully by next week I'll be all good. So,
is this your first time in Europe?
No, not my first time in Europe. I've been a few times actually. Been to England a few times, and obviously I was in Norway a couple years ago, Spain, Germany. So I've been around a few times. Mostly just tourism. Only a couple times for football. So, but Finland, it's my first time in Finland.
Yeah, so how would you describe yourself as a goalkeeper?
Oh man, that's a good question. I've always been kind of an athlete. As in the States, we play a lot of different sports. It's not really just one sport you focus on. That's changing a little bit now with the MLS growing and the academy system growing. But I grew up playing American football, baseball, basketball, and soccer. And basketball and soccer were my main sports. And I didn't stop playing basketball until I was like 17. So I was kind of I used my basketball, talent to play soccer and play goalkeeper. So it kind of helped me. And I think I've been, more like an athlete, I guess I would say. And then as time went on, and I played university, but as time went on, I got more technical and, I think a better overall goalkeeper. But I would say athlete's probably a good word to describe my goalkeeping play.
You're from soccer family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your cousin has been a pro player before, and what about it?
Yeah, no, it's a big soccer family in Las Vegas. I come from a big family in general. My mom's side, she's one of 10. She has 10 siblings, and they all grew up in Vegas. So I have had probably like 7 cousins that have played soccer, and then one family specifically had four players in university, and then one of my cousins, Mike, played professionally. He played MLS for about 5 years, and then he played USL for like 3 years. And he actually, it's funny, we were talking a couple weeks ago. He actually, I think, he was in Sweden on a couple trials, and so he was kind of familiar with the area. He's not Finland, but he was up in Scandinavia on trial a couple times. He didn't end up signing out here, but he kind of was the one to push me out the door and say, yeah, go for it. He's kind of my mentor for, professional soccer.
You mentioned that you've been to university. What did you study?
I studied, it was University of San Diego in California, which was beautiful. Perfect. Perfect weather all the time. It's, I miss that place for sure. But I studied political science out there, and then I also studied business. And I graduated. I was there for about 5 years. And obviously in the U.S. it's a bit different. Most players, you go to college, whatever sport it is. And I graduated. I wanted to make sure I graduated and did that, and really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed my time out there.
But before you went to San Diego, so you were born and raised in Vegas. Everybody in Finland knows of Vegas only from the casinos, but
yeah.
How would you?
Or The Hangover.
Yeah. How would you describe?
It's not
Vegas?
far off. The Hangover is not far off. Okay, I will say that.
How is Vegas as a citizen and grow up in there?
Yeah, I think everyone asked me that. It was pretty normal for me just because I grew up there, and like my mom and my grandpa, the 5 of them at the time, they were in Chicago at first, and then they moved to Las Vegas in 1969, I think. So long time ago, and Vegas at that point was just a road that was the Strip, and then like just desert. And so, and he was a doctor, so he moved out there to practice. And I've had such a big roots there that my family's been there for so long that it kind of just felt like normal. 9 of my aunts and uncles live in Vegas, and it's very connected. I always see my cousins. I have 27 cousins, and I would say 25 of them live in Vegas right now. So it was just kind of home for me, you know what I mean? And I live probably 10 minutes away from the Strip, but it's always just kind of been normal. I know people think it's crazy, but there's life outside the Strip. Obviously the Strip's huge and whatever, but it's pretty big, but there's just normal communities and houses, and people are all nice there. Like I actually really like growing up there, and I think it's funny that, people are always amazed by it, obviously because of the Strip, but my mom worked in the casino business for a long time, so it's been kind of a part of what I do.
But I have to ask you, we are so interested about this trip, but in Nevada overall. So what is happening in Area 51?
Oh, that's a good question. If I told you, I'd have to kill you. So I could. You know what? Hey, I know they don't let you go over there. You can't even go within there's a perimeter. You go there they might kill you. I swear to God, they might kill you. They arrest you. But I don't think too much. Honestly, there might be some mutants from the nuclear testing or something. But maybe aliens. If you've seen Independence Day, with Will Smith, I think aliens. Hopefully.
About the casinos, at least Finns know Las Vegas from hockey. So you have an NHL team. So is ice hockey popular there? Or?
Well, now it is. They came in 2017, I think. But before that, no. We had a couple second division teams, but just small. I think 5,000, and some people went, but it was not a big deal at all. And then the Golden Knights came, and the owner was really good too. They built a new stadium, and the owner put a lot of money into it, and they also were good. The first year they were really good, and I think too there was a tragedy in Vegas that happened around that time, the shooting, and so I think they literally happened a week before they started, and I think that once they started, it was something for the community to wrap themselves around, you know what I mean? And I think ever since then, people love it. There's flags, stickers everywhere. Literally everywhere. And I've probably been to 15 games. People go all the time, and it's a great atmosphere. I mean, they sell out most games. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the place to be. And the stadium, the arena is really beautiful, and it's like just a fun thing to do, you know. And they're really good now too. I think they're the first team to clinch the playoff spot, and it's taken over the city. And like I said, 5 years ago, no one would even know the rules. I didn't even know the rules of hockey. Like, you know, we just thought, okay, put it in the net. But like, and I think before that, there was probably one ice rink in the whole state. So, you know, it kind of just took the community by storm, but people love it. But it was also smart of the owner because there was no professional sports in Vegas. Yeah. And the Golden Knights came in and people were like, oh, let's embrace this team. And yeah, no, it's huge now. Yeah. Huge.
It's building up the community also.
Oh yeah, no, and that's the thing. I think Vegas has always just been the casinos and the Strip, and I guess it's. I mean, it's a big city now. It's like 2.5 million people who live there, and so I think people were just waiting for a professional team to come, and the Knights have done so well. That's why the Raiders are there, you know. And I think they'll get basketball in the next like 5 to 10 years too. So, and they obviously have a football team as well, a soccer team. So. Yeah, no, the Golden Knights, go Knights, go.
Yeah. But you started your soccer career at the Las Vegas Soccer Academy. Mm-hmm. We don't know much about the soccer academies in the USA. How is it, and how many times did you train per day and stuff? Per week. Huh?
Yeah, for me growing up, it's still, you know. It's still growing in the United States, obviously, and Vegas still doesn't have a proper academy. Even though they said it was an academy, it wasn't. It was just kind of a competitive club team. So I just grew up playing competitive club. It wasn't like, even though we have the Las Vegas Lights, it's not like they don't have an academy to like build it up. So unfortunately, they still don't have a professional academy. So it could be better. I think they're hoping that an MLS team will come and then they can actually have a proper academy to build up talent. But for me, it was just club soccer. We'd probably train like twice a week or maybe 3 times, and you go to California for tournaments, or people would come there for tournaments. And you know, it probably wasn't, you know, nowhere near what Europe is, but you know, I think it's growing, and it's in my lifetime it's a whole new sport practically. You know, people are taking it so serious, and you know, it's like I said, people play a lot of different sports there too, and I think it's just different over there. I think you just have to, I don't know, as a kid you just kind of play, and then you try to go aim for university, and that's it. And I played high school as well, so it's just a little different over there. But there's good players. Surprisingly.
Did you had an artificials or natural grass in there?
We had a little bit of both. We had a big artificial artificial turf complex, but there was like a couple of grass fields. But that complex actually was named after my cousin in the city. And then they have a couple of nice like grass complexes too. So it's a mixture. I would say games was grass, and then like if you practice, it would just be artificial. But
you mentioned that you were studying in San Diego. How did you decide to move to the West Coast?
Yeah, I mean, I always loved California, obviously, and it's right there. It's pretty close to home. It's only about 4-hour drive, and it's so nice there. It's beautiful, and I got a scholarship to play there, so it's such a beautiful campus if you go there. And I also had some friends that were there, and it was just kind of a no-brainer. I had a few other scholarship offers along the West Coast, but some were like in Spokane, like Washington, like near Seattle, and then in Portland, a few others. But San Diego is like the nicest spot you could go to. And honestly, at the time, when me and my parents were just like, if I didn't play football, because like I went there to play football, but if it didn't work out for whatever reason, at least I was going to school there, and I lived on the beach for 2 years, so it was like pretty ideal, you know. And it was more about like enjoying life rather than a football decision. Although we had some good team, but it was more like, oh, go enjoy this, because everyone wants to live there, right?
Is that college life like in the movies?
I would say so. so there's University of San Diego, which I went to, and then there's San Diego State. University of San Diego was a little smaller. It was probably like 6,000 undergrad. And it was a private school. So it was a little more laid back, not as crazy party. But San Diego State, which I had two of my cousins went there, or one of my cousins and like a few good friends went there. And it's like wild. They have like fraternities and sororities. And so I would obviously live on campus, but then I would go visit them at San Diego State, which is probably a 30-minute drive between the two. And like I would go there for a night and I would be like, all right, I need to leave. But I probably went there 6 or 7 times and I was like, okay, that's enough, because I don't know how they managed to go to school and live there, because they lived in a fraternity house with like 200 guys. And it was just, all you heard all night was just partying and drinking. And I give them credit. All of them graduated somehow, but that was like what you see in the movies for sure.
Yeah.
So you've been here for a few days. So what is your first impression about Jakobstad and Jaron?
Yeah, no, it's been good. First of all, everyone's really nice and been welcoming, and I appreciate that, because I know, I'm coming to a whole new country that I've never been before. So everyone's nice except this guy. But no, it's been really cool. It's been different for me because I come from obviously a big city. My whole life I've been living in big cities. So small town living is definitely going to be an adjustment. But, I'm obviously here to play football, and that's kind of my main focus. And, yeah, like I said, the coaches have all been nice. And I'm just kind of ready to get the season started, just to play. And, like I said, that's what I'm here for.
Did you know anything about Finland before you came here?
I didn't know anything about Finland. I hate to say it. I mean, I heard of Helsinki before.
Yeah.
But, like, honestly, when, like, I tell people, I was like, oh, yeah, I fly to Helsinki. They're like, where? You know what I mean? But that's how I think Americans are in their own little bubble. So, but my dad was all over it, because I don't know if he had been before, but he obviously loves Scandinavia. So he was like, go to Helsinki and go to Jakobstad and see what it's all about. And he's very adventurous. So, so far so good, though.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
Now you're center of earth.
What's that?
Center of earth.
Yeah.
Just middle of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How did everything happen with Jaron?
Well, that's a good question. It happened really fast. Well, back in the States, I was playing with the Las Vegas Lights for 3 years, and it was really fun because I was the hometown guy, and it was really great. But last year, obviously with COVID, like most places, it just kind of threw everything like upside down. And the team, I kind of figured I was going to play at Las Vegas at least for another few more years and try and make the jump to MLS. But with COVID happening, money was tight for the USL, like everywhere. Like a few teams like completely went bankrupt and don't exist anymore. Like Vegas's biggest rival, Reno, like completely folded. And that was happening for a lot of teams. And Vegas specifically, the owner was kind of worried about money, and so he called LAFC, the MLS team, and they did an affiliation, and which was cool, but the LAFC came in and used it as a reserve team. So they brought all their young kids in, and out of the 30 guys we had on the roster from the Lights last year, not one player came back. And so I thought I was going to be there, and then it didn't happen, and so then I was kind of scrambling on what I was going to do, and then Jaron came up out of nowhere, really, and it was obviously a big decision to move so far away, but it was kind of a new adventure, and and they were super interested, and I felt like it was a good opportunity, and it happened very fast. So I mean, it was only probably 10 days ago where they called me and we had a whole dialogue, but they were like, the transfer market's closing soon, so you need to make a decision, and yada yada yada. So I think my agent called me at like 6 a.m. in Vegas and was like, hey, we need to know like in the next day or two what you're gonna do. So I called my parents that morning, and it was like, we literally made a decision in like 3 hours, and it was good. My girlfriend wasn't too happy, but everyone else was, and yeah, it's all happened so fast. So I've still had to kind of get used to the whole thing. So.
Is your girlfriend living in Las Vegas? Or?
Yeah. She's at university in Las Vegas, and she has one more year there. So it's all good. And the timing, it's 6 months too, so it was good timing. And I knew like, okay, if I try something new, it's 6 month season, and like the whole thing just worked out. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Have you had any plans that she would come here also?
Yeah, she doesn't like flying though, so it's a little bit tricky. But my parents are going to try and come in July, I think.
Yeah.
So they're already trying to schedule it and do the whole thing. I think my sister wants to come too. They're all very interested. All my family is like very interested on the whole thing because it's like it's just completely different from where we come from. So I'm sure you'll see some of my family members eventually. So at a game, so it should be fun.
How is your name is quite Scandinavian, but and you have a Scandinavian roots, but you don't.
It's Finnish. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, like I said, my dad's dad, he's 100% Norwegian, and I don't know if it was my grandfather's father or one before, like came straight from Norway to the United States, and then my dad's mom, she's 100% Swedish, and I think her mother or someone, I need to check. He knows all the roots. He's very big into like Ancestry.com and does all that. And they came straight from Sweden, so I definitely have Scandinavian roots, and I think. If you saw my dad and his family, they look Scandinavian. Maybe not my dad so much, but his dad and so on, they look very Scandinavian. So you wouldn't be surprised. I got a little more Irish in me than him.
So what are you doing in your free time?
Here?
Yeah, or generally.
I mean, here it's different. I have to figure out what I'm going to do in my free time. Johan, the physio, wants me to go golfing. And so
what a surprise!
Yeah. So maybe I'll do that because in Vegas golfing is huge. Obviously, there's like 50 courses. But generally, in Vegas I was just hanging out with my friends a lot, and play a little Xbox here and there, and pretty standard stuff. I would maybe gamble there a little bit, go play blackjack. So I don't have that to do, but I'll figure it out. Just hang out with the guys and kind of explore the area. Yeah.
Did you got any special offer from Johan about the green card?
No, I haven't. But he's always offering something, so I appreciate it. I think he's got me a bike now, so he's the man to go to. Apparently, I think he's the guy. Yeah. I was like, I don't think this club would operate without you. Yeah. That's what I told him yesterday. He's like, yeah, I don't think so either. If Johan decided to leave and go, I don't know, to Helsinki or something, the club might have to reconsider.
Yeah. He's not going anywhere.
Terveisiä Juhanille.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you've been to a few trainings now with Jaron. What is your first impression?
Yeah, it's good. I think there's a lot of good talent. I know it's an interesting dynamic because there's like a decent amount of foreign guys, and then there's some young guys who are from the area. And I've been impressed actually with some of the younger players from I think they're from Jakobstad, the Jaron Academy players. I didn't know what to expect, but I've been impressed, and obviously training's different. I'm looking forward to seeing the games and just seeing how we do. But I think it'll be good. I'm curious to see what the other teams look like too in our division, because I have no idea what it's like. So it should be interesting. I know we play Thursday as a friendly, and that'll kind of give me more of a sense of how the squad looks. But I also watched the game that they played on Thursday, I think, briefly, and the squad looks good. So I'm excited to get started.
Have you had a goalkeeper trainer before?
Yeah, no. At the Lights, we had a goalkeeper trainer. He was a Cuban guy, Romilio. I still train. I was actually training with him before I came out here, so I give him credit because he was keeping me fit. Because when Jarl called me, the first thing Anders called me, he was like, "Are you fit? Have you been working out?" And I said, "Yes, I have a goalkeeper coach in Las Vegas." And it's good it's necessary. Definitely necessary for goalkeepers. So, and the training with Anders the other day was good. So I'm excited.
What is your biggest strength as a goalkeeper?
I think probably aerial, like getting the balls in the air has always been my strength. I think as a kid when I played youth national team with the U.S. and under 20s, and I think I got there kind of with my aerial strengths. It's always been something that has kind of set me apart from others. And, I think I've also been a solid shot stopper my whole life. And also I'm confident too. I don't lack confidence on the field too. I think that's always been a strength. I enjoyed playing with the ball, and I think that's always good for a goalkeeper to be confident and not scared of the moment. So yeah, those are probably the strengths.
What do you think about the football in the US? I think like MLS has got quite popular, but how do you see the situation?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how I would say even the last 10 years has just exploded. I mean, because you see like Atlanta United gets like 80,000 people at their games, and the Atlanta Falcons barely get that many. They like rival each other for attendance, which is like crazy compared to where it used to be, because it used to just be like LA Galaxy and like David Beckham, and that was kind of it. And they would all play in big football stadiums and probably get 5,000 to 10,000 people. So it's gotten so much bigger, and then the more people watching it, the more money that goes into it, right? And LAFC is huge now. I have two really good friends that play at LAFC, and they built a stadium right in the heart of the city, and they get a bunch of fans, and people are super excited about it. It's pretty crazy. Like, and you can always watch games on ESPN now. Yeah. Before it was like very hit and miss. So, and the talent's gotten better. Like I was saying, now you're seeing like teams like Real Salt Lake and Utah. They have like all these. They start the academy at like 10 years old, which is obviously more European, and you're seeing a lot of those players starting to play for the first team. Like this generation of like soccer players has kind of grown, and I think you're seeing it with the U.S. the national team too. We're starting to kind of break into the European market, as opposed to before it was like we might have one guy playing here or whatever, but now we have 5 solid players playing at good clubs across Europe, and I think it's just kind of it was going to take some time, but I think the next 10 years the U.S. will really like. I'm not saying we're going to win a World Cup, but I think we're going to be, competitive, and, people will take us more serious, So with time, I think that happens. And people like watching it too. That's the other thing. It's just hard to compete because you still have NFL is massive, and NBA is also obviously crazy massive, and even baseball. So it's still probably the 4th or 5th sport, but there's a lot of people there, right? So, I'm happy to see how much it's grown, and I think just the overall talent has gotten better. And the games are more fun to watch. There used to be a lot of just kicking and running, and now it's a little more technical.
You can see the development in the national team as well, because for like 10, 15 years ago, there were a lot of guys who were raised in Europe. Mm-hmm. But now it's more like...
Yeah, I mean, even on my under-20 team in 2015, when we played the World Cup in New Zealand, I would say, I mean, most of them were from America, but we still had like probably 7 or 8 guys who were born in America, but like immediately lived in England. They had like English accents or Dutch accents, or it was funny. We had to like teach some of the players the national anthem because they had no idea, and I was just laughing so hard because like it's just funny like seeing those guys who don't even know anything about the U.S. and they're wearing the U.S. shirt and stuff, but now it's a bit different. And like my good friend, my friend Zach Steffen, he plays at Manchester City now, the goalkeeper. And he was a really good player for our youth team, and seeing guys like that really break into the European market is cool to watch.
A lot of goalkeepers are coming from the US, and good goalkeepers also. Before
there was the first position. It was the first position for us to have success for sure, because we had like Friedel and Tim Howard obviously, and Casey Keller and all those guys. I think that has to do with us playing other sports, playing basketball and playing football, like hand-eye coordination kind of stuff. And like I know Tim Howard played basketball like most of his life, and up to that point before going overseas. I think that really has to that's a reason why the goalkeepers were successful in Europe, and it's still a thing. You know what I mean? I think there's probably three American goalkeepers playing in the Swedish league that I know, and I think it's definitely been our most successful position. So, yeah, maybe that's why I'm here.
Well, what about in college football? Do they still have the thing that they pause the game when the ball goes out? Because I've been following some
yes.
football.
Yeah, so it
US.
is weird. We're also talking about how the MLS used to have the instead of penalties, they would start at halfway and they'd run. I like it though. I think it's kind of funny. It's completely different, and the goalkeepers have more of an advantage because otherwise the goalkeepers are not in the advantage at all. Yeah. But we would laugh about it. But yeah, no, college soccer, it's still weird. They also count down from 90, and it's very Americanized, and they have overtime. No matter if you tie, they have overtime, and it's golden goal. So whoever scores first wins. And so it's I think they're just trying to put their American spin on it. But most people now who played college soccer were like, all right, we don't need to do this anymore. I think it was probably the 70s or 80s when they did it, and it's a different time.
But I think they have been quite smart with correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have been quite smart with the MLS because they have tried to create a different product. It's like a different league compared to others. The support, the fan culture is different, and they have got influence from Europe, and it is different. So I think they have created, they have found their market.
Yeah. No, I think that's it. Well, I think most Americans complain that soccer's boring and it's low scoring, and that was the whole thing. They love watching football or basketball where it's scoring, and even hockey. I mean, there's a decent amount of scoring. So that was kind of the whole thing, and I think that's why they were trying to do different things to get people interested. And once they had people interested and they had a base, then they could go more traditional and do that. But I think the biggest thing is getting big name players to come, like Zlatan going there was, even though it was just a year, it was crazy. And obviously David Beckham started the whole thing, but you have Pirlo, but it's less the older guys. I know Lampard went and I think Steven Gerrard went, but they were old. It's less old guys, but you have guys like Carlos Vela who's kind of still in his prime, and people love him out there. And I Chicharito's a little old, but he still can play. You know what I mean? It's getting guys who are still able to play. They're not walking around with walkers and kicking a ball. So yeah, it's working, I guess.
I think you need a few US-born megastars in football, then it will kick off.
Yeah, I think Christian Pulisic is kind of that's who everyone's leaning behind, or Weston McKennie, who's at Juventus, and they're kind of hoping those guys are. But I would definitely say Pulisic is the most dynamic player we've ever had. So people are kind of all in on him. But I also think that's part of the reason that Chelsea took him. He's a great player, but they also know that Americans are going to watch every Chelsea game, no question, and it happens every time because everyone's like, oh, did you see what Christian did? Did you see what Christian did? So it's I think you're right about that for sure.
Thank you, Thomas, and welcome to Jaron.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. It's I'm happy to be here.
Hopefully we can see you on the pitch soon.
Absolutely, ready to get going. Go up to First Division. Or what's it called? Ykkönen. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.